I am here again with another video on the Struggling Housewife YouTube channel. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this video so that I can continue to bring you more videos and so that I know that you guys are getting some type of, it gives me a response. It just lets me know that you guys hear what I'm saying, that you hear my message, because I think that's very important. I think the message that we put out there is very important. But either way, this is a channel that is healing to me, and I started it because I was in a dark place as a wife and as a mom. So that's why the name is The Struggling Housewife. The brand is actually, what I like to think of it is a checkpoint, because I believe through life we all need to have checkpoints, right? After all traumatic events that life brings us, because there's no way around traumatic events, we have to stop and collect ourselves and make sure that we're actually growing through what we're going through and not letting it deter us of who God has called us to be. I know, when you run a marathon, because life is the marathon, you run a marathon, you have checkpoints where there's people there to give you water, electrolytes, just to keep you going so that you can finish. And with life being a marathon, this channel is here for other people who just want to hear somebody else. And maybe it gives you the courage to tell your story, or maybe you feel comfort in hearing somebody else's story. So different checkpoints that people could be going through, or people need to stop and go through, after something traumatic has happened, is, when you've lost a parent, you have a family member dealing with a deadly illness, you feel like you don't have a purpose in life, life is hard and it's taking a toll on you, you lost a job or multiple jobs, or your husband left you, your husband cheated on you, your husband told you he didn't want to be with you anymore, and vice versa. There's another spouse, a wife that has done that as well, where you feel like you don't want to be in your marriage anymore. This channel is a place to kind of revive you and help you keep going, help you take an inner look in yourself. So with that being said, with everything that has gone on in my life, I have been working on my perspective about life, I would have to say. And as I dig deeper, I always find myself, like I said in another video, I find myself Googling what I feel like, and I talk to my therapist about it. And sometimes it can be healthy and sometimes it can be unhealthy. But I came across something called cognitive distortion, and basically it is just viewing things in a negative emotion, being over dramatic, I guess, in certain things. A few things that I was able to identify that I did was black and white, thinking that things are black and white, right? I would say for me, if I had an argument with a friend or a family member, especially depending on what it was and how sensitive I was to it, I very well thought, well, we're having this argument, we can't be friends anymore, we can't deal with each other anymore because you disrespected me, you're not owning up to it, it's this or that. Either you're going to respect me to be in my life, or either you're going to do as I say to be in my life, or that part, you could not be in my life. I'm cutting you off, we're done. And I've learned that life isn't that simple. I believe in my current struggle right now. For those of who know or follow me on social media, my husband and I are working through an infidelity in our marriage, and I was so black and white in the beginning is, you know, you cheated on me, you must don't want me, so, you know, it's time for this to end. This has to be over. Um, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in another video since I'm giving you guys bits and pieces. I do want to tell it in full. But I thought that it was this or that, and I had to learn that the world has a lot of color, and it's not so black and white for the perspective that I see. I know what, if I do something, I know what it means only for me and not for the other person. So I can't take my perspective, my black and whiteness, and make it fit the other person's perspective. Another characteristic of cognitive distortion was jumping to conclusion, and I really had a hard time with this. I believe that, you know, we grow up, and well, I know we grow up with parents who have walked their own life and they have had their own experiences, and you know, some of our parents, they, well, I don't think it's their intention to push certain things onto us. I think that it just naturally happens. They naturally push their beliefs or their viewpoints onto us. And it's a learned behavior, right? I remember watching Dana Chanel. She is the creator of Sprinkle of Jesus. I remember watching one of her videos on Instagram, and it kind of confirmed something for me in the sense of, and I thought this was very important to mention, in the sense that she was saying that don't get upset with your husband for something that he wasn't taught to do. And I think about the phrase, you know, they should know better, or they know right from wrong. It's hard to actually, for me to totally keep saying that now, just because what if someone doesn't know better? Like, they weren't raised in your household. You don't know what type of childhood they had or the things that they were taught in their household. And like, for example, you know, some women, including myself, we could get upset because our husband hasn't taken out the trash. We have to always constantly keep saying it, or there's clothes on the floor. So we're mad at them and we think that they should know better because they're grown adults, right? And we don't know how his mother raised him. We don't know if, you know, his mother went around picking up his clothes after, you know, he got out of them, or if, you know, his parents told him to take out the trash. And I think that we jump to conclusion and we put expectations on people, not really taking a moment to take a step back and think about or have compassion or humility for this person, to think that, okay, well, they are human as well. There's some things that I don't know in this world, and there could be a possibility that this person doesn't know at all. Another example of jumping to conclusion is, you know, someone does something to you and you don't really mention it, right? You don't mention it. You quickly assume what you think they meant. And based off of what you think they meant, you then formulate how you want to move around them, or if you want to move around them at all, without having this conversation. Because again, we're stuck in this black and white mindset of what we think this person's actions meant, And then we're also stuck in jumping to conclusion, not having a conversation with them, not really getting down to the details to figure out what their intentions were. We think that what we've been taught, or our experiences of what we think the world should look like, is law. We think it's Bible. We don't see anything else different than what our perception is. And I think that's why people say perception is reality, because whatever your perception is, it's dangerous when you take it for reality. And the last characteristic that I would mention is fairness. And I struggle with all these characteristics, but I think that fairness is really something that has gotten me caught up over the years. As kids, we're kind of told that life isn't fair. So some of us want to take up for ourselves, right? We want to make sure we're treated fair, or our feelings are hurt when we view something as unfair. Now, I do believe if it isn't causing a bodily harm to anybody, or if it's, causing anybody, if it's not causing anybody to be neglected or abused or whatever, I don't really understand who made us the fairness police. Like, I can recall being on the phone with a friend, and I can be telling them about a situation, and then I go to say, and that's not fair. But how do we know what the other person, or if the situation includes 3 people, how do we know what everyone was thinking? We take our experiences, take what we deem as fair, take what we deem as reality, and we basically judge things off of that. And for me, because I am such, I think it's called Enneagram, ENNGRAM. If not, I'll put it at the bottom. But I took the Enneagram personality challenge, or personality test, and my results told me that I was a challenger. So I really struggle with all these things because I want things to be fair. I want to be treated right. And so if I have characteristics of cognitive distortion, how do I know that I'm not just letting people treat me any kind of way? And I think that that's where the hard work comes in for me. I have to dig deep and state how what this person is doing is making me feel. And I have to dig deep and ask myself, why do I feel this way? And then eventually I have to, so I don't jump to conclusion, or if I can, straighten it out in my head and, lower my alertness, or lower my feelings in a sense. If I can do that, then I can move on about my day. But if I can't, then I need to go and talk to this person so that I don't take my own perspective and perception as reality, and then continue to live my life based around what I think is going on. Because we all know now that with cognitive distortion, that I'm going to see it as black and white. I'm going to see it as, I'm going to jump to conclusion, and I could possibly see it as unfair. And I want to say another thing about I wanted to say another thing about jumping to conclusion. I know in my last video when I was talking about understanding my own feelings, I said, I think I said something like I can pick up vibes or something. And I think I said, I feel that I'm about 75% right about, what's going on. Homegirl has to admit that I was probably wrong, or I was wrong, as I go through this journey of just trying to see life in a new perspective and trying to be compassionate for others and give them the benefit of the doubt. Um, I can't take my feelings as golden and as Bible. It's okay for me to feel what I feel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that my feelings are right. And my pastor actually told me that. And when he told me that, I had no idea what he was talking about. But I think, with time, I'm actually starting to understand that, like, I can feel whatever I want to feel about the way that this person acts, respond, or whatever. But unless I ask them to get clarification, or to, for them to validate or deny, their intentions, or if I'm receiving it correctly, I can't sit up here and let those feelings consume me, consume my day, or consume my thought process about how I view life. Because I think that if we jump to conclusion, we can very well let those repeated jumpings of conclusion affect us, because we think we've seen something once before, so we think that we saw the signs of this, so we kind of know how to move again when we see something that's familiar with what's hurt us before. So I think for me, I have to be very careful in my thought process and how I think. And to be honest with you, growing up, I had such a anger management problem, and even into adulthood, although I was able to like mask my anger in some situations, I still dealt with it internally. I was upset. I would leave work and let certain things bother me, certain things that people said like bother me. And I think just realizing, what cognitive distortion is, I think that really helps me understand life a little bit better. And I honestly, in some sort, I believe that it's a learned behavior. Um, People see the world for how they see it, and they pass those things down onto their children. We all know that with racism, if parents weren't passing racism down to their children, I believe racism would end. It's fact. But, we have to take deeper looks, take a deeper look inside ourselves, and just kind of undo the things that we've been taught, and ask ourselves, okay, is this healthy? Is this something that, is helping me throughout life, or is this something that is causing me harm? And you have to undo it, and you have to relearn it. And I mean, I think that's the only way that you can grow. We don't want to be 50 years old carrying around these same cycles that have been passed down from generation to generation. This journey that I have been on has been really mind opening. We think that we're so open-minded sometimes, that we don't become open-minded until certain things happen in our lives. And then some, there's some people who never become open-minded, and they are who they are. So I appreciate you for watching my channel. If you want to, say anything, or you feel that you can connect or disconnect, or, I want to hear from you. I hope you leave a comment. I hope you like this video. I hope you share this video, and just tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, I thank you for watching, and I love you for watching, and I hope you have a good holiday. Bye, guys.